SBXLife coming at you live from Summit County at the ISTC house. To my right, your left, is Nick Roma. He's from Steamboat Springs. He's a World Cup course builder working with White Industries Limited. That is Jeff Iaxi's company, and I believe he's a partner in that. He helped build the Olympic Winter Games test course, and we'll be building the Olympic course in 2018. We just got back from Baccarat Barret in Spain.
Yep.
I felt it was an awesome course. It did have some challenges for the athletes. Why don't you give me your take on that course before we start into the four main questions?
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me, of course.
You're welcome.
I've been watching the videos all year. It's nice to get different perspectives, and I appreciate you having me. So, but the Spain course was for me, it was really nice to be able to build a finals course with that much snow. And so as we started pushing the venue together, it was a sight unseen, a design unseen.
Yep.
Course line was picked in 2 hours with working with Alberto. I think he did a nice job of picking the zone and the resort. In 5 weeks, stepped up and hosted the World Cup finals. So, kudos to them. They did an amazing job with everything.
It was amazing. The resort.
They didn't stop at anything, which was really, really cool. But my perception of the course was it's the finals. The guys have been working hard. The girls have been working hard all year. I wanted to showcase their skills. So
the best of the best.
Of course, and that's what you want to see. That's what the season is all about, is going through that final. And the battle for the girls came down to that event. Came down to the last two heats, and everybody came down to the last 20 feet. In the end, that was super cool. And congrats to Pierre for his win. I was hoping it was going to be I love watching the battle to the end, but he sealed the deal earlier. So when I got there, we started doing the course line. I'd had a lot of snow farmed close to the venue. It was obviously all natural, and they made a lot of snow in preparation as well. So the guys had really done a nice base preparation for us, and we just started building. And then the snow just kept coming, and it was just like, okay, you want to go a little bigger, you want to go a little longer. The corners started really looking nice, and once the corners start to get to a certain size, you kind of got to blend everything in between, and you got to keep going. So I pushed the limit a little bit on a few areas, and then we had a great test day. And then in that test day, we found that we wanted to add some length to the jumps, and that's what created some of that challenging, difficult zone of the course, And at the end, I think we solved the problem, but I think we all also learned a lot from where we need to be in terms of communication for that type of venue, because there's a lot of athletes that really like that type of venue. They're really challenged, it gets their heart pounding a little bit, and there's some athletes that aren't prepared for that type of venue yet. And
that's correct.
In a good open communication, I think in the future, for sure next year, being a first-time build designed on site, we learned a ton, right? So for a venue next year, you can guarantee it's going to be a good-sized venue. It's going to be a staple event, I hope, for many, many years to come.
Me as well. I hope it is. They really, like you said, they stopped at nothing. And, I can easily see that being a 6-man course easily.
Oh, for sure. And you have every opportunity to go in any direction at any point. We want to say we want to keep the speed at a certain level. Fine, blow a corner out here, blow a corner out there. Come 5 degrees uphill on one straightaway. Now you're building new features. So I'm really happy with the overall. I sometimes you got to take a beating to learn how to stand up, kind of thing, and you learn a lot in that process. And I think next year that venue is going to be absolutely world class, hands down. And maybe with any luck, 6-man. For sure.
I definitely feel that will be the case. And as far as speaking to, there were some challenging parts to the course, as you said, but the reality is that. Every one of these athletes is aiming for the Olympics, and the Olympics, to be an Olympian, to be a gold medalist, that's not easy.
No.
And if you expect the World Cup courses to be easy, then I think you're really actually in the wrong spot.
No, for sure.
It should be, taking things constantly, challenging athletes, and that can be a lot of different challenges in different ways. It doesn't
have to be size.
Size all the time.
Yep.
But it is important for the athlete to be consistently challenged. That way they improve. the biggest issue I see is really just the athlete getting the training that they need so that they're ready for those challenges.
Yep.
And that's going to fall on the coaches.
Yep.
It's really going to fall on the coaches
And good
and the
venues.
training.
Good venues. Coach among good venues is going to
venues,
help.
yes,
For sure.
Good venues.
And we've talked on a few different levels of that communication and that relationship. I think is something that the more we can strengthen that openness of, hey Nick, you know what I mean? Like, let's change this by 4 degrees or whatever that is. And I can say, from my perspective, it's just a piece of art in the end for me, And it's not just a piece of art, but it is a piece of art. And we work really tirelessly to put the math together to support that broad range, But sometimes we're a little off, And when we are, it's like it's on the coaches to have that relationship to be like Nick, and the communication of the right terminology. To fix it. So I think the next 5 years, I hope we get to build a lot more venues in a lot of different places, and in that 5 years, maybe some training camps in other places, maybe some here in Colorado. We're able to develop more of that communication, the verbiage, the builders clinics, the things like that, and we won't run into the difficulty things won't be so difficult to solve. Right. In the end, we're going to build better courses. Right. We're going to have better races. We're going to have better athletes
And that's what we want in the end. As from a coaching perspective, that's what I want.
Yeah.
From a builder's perspective, because I build as well, I want to challenge, but I want better courses. I want better courses for my NORAM riders so they can make the jump to the World Cup. And the Rev Tour, they need, or that lower level, they need to focus on those basic skills. But when they step up to that NORAM or Europa Cup, it really needs to be a good step so that it's actually closer to the World Cup.
It's got to be safe. It's got to be safe. We can always push the limit on any level, and you can push it in a variety of ways. But we need to know that we can push the limit as builders, because the athletes that want it, and they're always going to get better. They're never going backwards. And the NORAM level, same thing. We need to build them safe, because it's hard sometimes to do the math and do the math right. And if you build this unsafe course, you're really deterring the people. So
but safe is relative. Safety is relative. I mean, if you take the top 50% of the World Cup riders, they may feel a course is safe. The bottom 50% may feel that course is not safe. So really, I'm going to take that pressure off of you, off the builder, because it's really up to the coach. The coach has to prepare the athlete to be ready for the venues that they are sending these athletes to. That's the reality of the situation. And if they're not doing that, then they shouldn't be sending athletes to the World Cup. That's the bottom line. And as tough as that is, I mean, I'm a coach, but I feel I can say that. And I feel that, it's a tough decision sometimes to tell an athlete, hey, I'm sorry, you're not going to race today. But the reality is, if that athlete is not ready for a certain type of course, whether it's technical, big jump, speed, whatever it is, if they're not ready for it, they're not ready for it.
And that can be okay.
That's
that
okay.
Be okay. You don't want to hurt
They just need to train more
and
get
that goes right back to, like we said, it's the better lower level. It's the really good training venues, and being able to provide those type of things that open up that door. Because you're right, if you go train on a flat slope all day, it's going to be pretty tricky to jump into a World Cup course and start getting 25-meter rollers.
I mean,
you got to go hit a few park jumps.
All of a sudden,
I grew up hitting park jumps before park jumps really developed a long way. And you were a lot better rider because maybe the groomer was a little lazy and there was a kink in it, and boom, like you have to learn how to make some different moves at different times. And a lot of guys are so good at the air awareness, but you got to develop that for sure.
Yeah, real quick before we get into these, it's interesting you say that, because I heard a lot of athletes there at Baccarat saying that they hadn't hit a park jump in a long time. So I think, as a coach, you have to train your athlete for every situation. That's your job in reality. Everything that's going to come up for these athletes, you should be thinking about in training. So, my thing is like, hey, we train park jumps here, but we're in a venue, meaning Summit County, where there are a lot of park jumps.
Good ones, and really good ones.
But if you don't have those park jumps, then you better get to a place, if you're an athlete, to where you can train them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the bottom line.
And take a little variety too. You know,
Yeah.
it's
bottom line.
it's not a bad thing. Variety is not a bad thing, for sure.
In the end, I think Baccarat was one of the best courses I've seen. I mean, Korea by far was the best in my mind. This, required. It was funny. Some of my athletes were like, they were more afraid of that first drop in at Baccarat than they were in Korea.
Yeah.
Which is kind of good in a way. It kind of got their heart pounding a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of, hey, this is.
I got to be on it right now.
I got to be on it.
Yeah.
So I think in that
It's
sense,
good.
it's good.
You're right, and it's obviously we did Korea, and that is something that has been really well thought out and really well planned. A lot of things went into it, and we learned a lot in the first build there too, so that the Olympic Games are going to be even better than this venue.
Right.
For sure, we doing the 2 courses.
Right.
There's a lot of things that went into that venue for sure.
I can tell.
And sometimes, every time you learn something, so it only improves. And we're trying to create that environment of courses that you can trust. You know what I mean? We want that feeling. We want that connection with the athletes, with the coaches, with the teams that say, we know they're going. It's going to be good. Is it going to be on the limit? I'm not sure that I'm ever going to push the limit so far, so fast. I might step it back. I might split the difference sometimes, and maybe I might, say that, okay, I don't know that I can fit that there, and have more confidence in knowing that we're putting the features in the right place. But yeah, we want to build. It's fun building big courses.
Yeah.
It shows, and it's not necessarily the total airtime that makes it big.
No.
Big corners are cool.
Yep.
Just big fun rollers are cool. Like there's a lot of good parts of it. So. Yeah, I think we had a good season. Montafon was a good, a good build. We were a little short on snow, but in the end, created a venue that was pretty dynamic for passing and some good battles. So I hope that we can continue that in the future, and create that, like I said, that relationship that is already there and continues to grow.
Yep.
To push that limit, because is the 25 meter, 28 meter jump going to happen every day? Probably not, but that's what some courses can be for. If it's safe, if it's good, if it fits, the top 16, top 20 ladies too. We got to keep everything, keep all the heats top to bottom. That's going to be fun, man. That's the mad science of it all.
Well, I mean, I just want to say thank you. I thought it was a awesome course, and again, it was challenging, but I think it should be challenging at that level. It shouldn't be easy. You shouldn't be able to walk onto it and just do it like that.
When the top athletes in the world don't drop in right first run on training, you're like, okay, they all right? Is this going to work good? Okay, all right, Hagen, good work, man.
Nice.
Yeah, nice work, Hagen.
Hagen's got a special.
He trusted the feeling and just went for it. But it was good. I mean, and like I said, we all learn something on every experience every day, and it'll only get better.
All right, so let's get into the 4 main questions here. So my first question is going to be, why and how did you get into building border cross and ski cross courses? Why?
Oh man, I fell in love with it pretty early. I was a terrain park guy from back east, Sunday River.
Okay.
Building jumps, worked with a lot of different people there, and we hosted a World Cup in 2009. And I met Jeff, now my partner there at White Industries, and I just found it to be a really cool experience. We basically, shrouded our main park, all our big piles. We went through there, and he just created this super cool course. It was, and I, the whole time we were building it, I'm like, nobody's gonna hit this. There's no way. Like, this is massive. Like, I don't understand. Like, they're gonna make it off that? Like, no problem? No, straight no problem. Cool course, good time. Got involved.
I remember that.
We went through some serious weather there too. Some snow, some rain, some freezing.
Yeah.
And I thought it was just super cool to try to something new. It was something really new. I'd done some lower level courses at the mountain, and we've been throwing some things around, but never the big banks and and just the big jumps were really cool to me. And then wanted to be on his team for Vancouver.
Okay.
Was it going to be an honor to assist him, and it started there. He invited me to be in Vancouver, so that was an experience of a lifetime for sure. From the effort, in the whole thing. And then we took a little break. I continued building terrain parks here in Colorado at Steamboat. And in 2012, decided to go full time with Jeff. And I said,
2012.
Yep. So the winter of 12-13, I said, Jeff, let's start building some courses, man. I really enjoyed it. Did the Grand Prix a couple times in the canyons with Jake.
Yep.
And I just really enjoyed the difficult component of trying to put 4 people or 6 people top to bottom and create the right size venues and put the speed in the right place, because it's hard math, you know.
It is very hard.
And it never fits always on the mountain, you know. You gotta tweak it in places, and you think you got it nailed, and then you hit the ground and you're like, you know, I gotta redo some math here, you know.
Yep.
So there was that aspect of just the total excitement of painting this whole course, and then when you see the heats, you know, for me it was the excitement. I love the finals, man. Time trials are really cool to see who's riding the course fastest that day, you know, and weather factors sometimes change. Sometimes the course is good for one or the other, but it was the heats, and I just kind of I was digging it, you know what I mean? I was really digging it, and that's where it started. And then we do both sides, so I learned a little bit from the other discipline as well, and I'm able to just try to put the math together on so many different speeds, so many different skiing abilities, and riding abilities, and that's how it took off. And now I really enjoy it. You know, it's all I do. Yeah, that's all I do.
Nice.
And I love it. It's still a challenge every venue, every day. You know.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's the cool part, is that it is a challenge everywhere you go. Everywhere is a different setup. Everywhere is different snow conditions. You know, different pitch, different this, different that, and working through those, working through the math, as you say, is a challenge. And but in the end, you know, I guess the reward is you watching 4 or 6 people race down the course, having the time of their lives, and there is a winner, and there is, you know, you see the end.
It's a cool thing. Yeah. You know, and that's the difference for me. That slope style is still a beautiful thing, and it's really impressive. But it's a very similar thing, you know. They're all in the same course, same line. You know, the rail features change and whatnot. But racing is like, one day you're on, you know, one day you're off. It's racing. One day you're fast, one day you're a little slower. Maybe you're riding well today, and maybe one heat you get there by a fingernail or whatever, and the next heat you're smoking them down there. You know, it's always different. It was really cool, and it was really cool, you know. And the guys are fun to watch, man. It's exciting.
Yeah, I get it. Okay, second question. Besides weather and snow, which are the main factors, what factors do you take into consideration when building a certain section of a course? In other words, okay, I'm going to put jumps here, or I'm going to put rollers here, or I'm going to do a step up or a step down, or I'm going to do, you know, a camel or something, you know, Michelin Man or whatever you want to call it, you know, a staircase with a staircase down. You know, what factors go into deciding that besides the snow and weather? What do you
I just have a cup of dice at home. And I chuck them against the wall.
Nice.
And I pick them away, and I say we're good to go, and go to dinner, and it's all good. No. You know, for me, my style of building is I get top to bottom with a road, you know, in snowboard cross. For me, it's something that's important, and it depends on the site inspection, and we pick a course line.
Okay.
You know, we're always looking for certain degrees and certain lengths. I know that at X degree, you're going to gain X amount of speed, and you know, we have to use the terrain that's existing. Maybe there's some sweet spots that are snow savers. So it comes originally from a walk down the hill or walk up the hill on a site inspection, and then once you get that kind of vision and feeling of the lay of the land and where a takeoff might or a jump landing might fit perfectly, you know, you paint, you get there, you see your snow volumes, and then you try. For me, I try to get top to bottom. I try to get all my corners in a line. I try to get the road level, you know, because a lot of places it requires a massive amount of snow to level your zone, you know. So you have to make sure you commit the right amount of snow to get the trail top to bottom, and not any more, because then you know what you have left, and then you know the size of feature you can put there. So that's kind of how it goes for me, and it's usually designed in advance, but it's designed as a concept, and you have to kind of get this feet. You know, if you get a certain feeling in the seat of the snowcat, you know, you over the years you develop a feeling, and you can tell, you know what I mean? Like if you're coming out of a corner and you're pointing at in a perfect section that's nice and flat, you know, maybe it could be a really badass roll or some really, really nice roller section, you know? Or maybe you want to slow them down. So you're like, okay, perfect. If I put a little bit of a step up here, I can take away a little bit of speed.
Right.
So a lot of it now is feeling in the 20 times, a feeling initially from the site inspection, you know, and Jeff is a really great mentor of mine that has walked me down numerous venues and explained his philosophy on speed and angle and design. And all right, look, man, we have to hit this pocket right here. We have no choice, right? We got to get around these obstacles or whatever. We got to avoid them. So you got to pick those points that maybe are mandatory hits, and then you got to work your way in between, you know. And then on site, it's confirming your feelings,
Right.
or saying, all right, I thought there were 4 feet there. There's 4 inches.
Right.
You know, no more step up. Okay, what can we do?
Right,
Can we make some tricky rollers? you know?
Right,
So,
right.
so a lot of math, a lot of thinking, and then in the end, you got to trust your feeling.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, for sure.
you got to trust your feeling, but you got to get the course in line. You got to get.
It's
all got to line up.
Yeah, it's all.
And that's what I think people
that's-
sometimes struggle with. You know, you start building features, and I've done it myself, where you start committing a ton of snow. You know, your starts just getting big and gnarly and cool, and then all of a sudden you get down here and you run out of snow, and now you don't have enough snow to match what you started.
Right.
You know what I
right,
mean? So
right,
now
right.
you've given them speed that you can't necessarily take away.
Right.
So for me, it's about the road
Nice.
and
nice.
see how things fit.
Yep, that's a good concept, and it's one of the ones that I've heard, you know, consistently among builders is starting with the road,
Yeah.
and how that road's going to be, and then, as you say, the feeling that you have, and then once you show up, you have this concept. Once you show up, then you have to deal with the amount of snow you have, and then what you can put into that, what your original vision was, and how much that may change. And if you get lucky, like in Baccarat Barrette, you get a shit ton
You
of
just
snow
keep
that
fishing.
just keeps falling, and you get lucky. But we both know.
I
that
bet on the
doesn't
other
always
side
happen.
too. Yeah, you know.
You know,
I've built courses over dirt, you
Yeah.
know, with form boards to make
Yes,
sure we
exactly.
get top to bottom. So
That doesn't always happen.
no, and in fact, it's very rare. You know,
Yeah.
you hope it happens more often, and
Right.
we'll see where the future takes us on that one.
All right, so number 3, it seems as though the SBX World Cup is moving towards big, more open, high-speed 4-6 person courses. This allows for tighter racing between the athletes. It looks better for TV. I'm a fan of it. But this year we brought in a new thing. We had our first sprint event.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
The sprint event that happened this year, there was a lot of feedback, and I know you had, you know, nothing to do with that, and I'm not, you know, not calling out the way things are built or anything like that, but there were a lot of athletes that weren't stoked on that venue that we had for a sprint event. So what I want to know from you, in your mind, if you were to have the perfect hill, the perfect pitch, whatever that is, what would be the perfect sprint course in your mind if Nick Roma built it?
Well, you know, it would be the hardest hand-shaping mission you ever went on, and you would maintain a very manageable speed. A perfect pitch would, I don't know, maybe 6-8 degrees, maybe, you know, minimal, and you're able to really tweak the features that you put in between to create or take away speed, as opposed to, you know, being on a pitch where you know you're going to generate speed and you got to just keep building bigger and bigger.
Okay.
So something pretty mellow, flat.
A mellow pitch, but by the sounds of it, you would have to really work hard to generate speed.
That would be my idea of a good sprint, where
Okay.
you know the straight rhythm Red Bull did on dirt bikes was pretty
No, that
cool.
was sick, yeah.
You know, obviously they have an accelerator, so they can they can
yes.
find some secret trainings if you want to. But
Right.
you could build I would love to build a 400-meter start section. You know, that you have to generate speed in each feature, and you can get over everything top to bottom if you're unable to do so. But at the same time, you know, you're able to really maybe put some secret trainees in there where you can really create some speed. So
Right.
I think the job done in Felberg was fantastic based on the no snow.
Yes.
You know, and to build the first sprint.
Right.
You know, which is
chance.
always taking a chance, and we had a couple opportunities. You know, Cortina. It was like, all right, do we want to? This place is beautiful. Do we want to put a sprint here? Do we have enough snow? You know, and we were right on the limit of. I mean, they basically had enough snow for a PGS. You know,
Right,
so
right.
so we made the right decision. But yeah, you gotta. I personally think it would be the type of thing where you gotta treat it like a skate park. And you gotta create speed, because if I just give you speed, and I learned this in Spain, you know, I can think I'm not giving you speed, and by the end of day 3, you found every ounce of speed in that section.
Athletes have a way of doing
They're
that.
incredible, you know, like, and then you watch the finals, and you watch those guys in the
Yeah.
finals, and it's like,
Yeah.
wow, you just hammered
Yes.
through that thing like it
Yes.
wasn't even there, you know.
Yes.
And so you gotta be very cautious of that. And that's at something at 6 degrees over 40 meters.
Right.
You know, put yourself at 6 degrees for 400.
Oh, right.
That progression has to be some serious math,
Yeah.
you know, and you can't just build jumps. So that would be my idea. And down the line, I think we'll get better venues specifically tailored to a sprint event, if that's where we're going to go, you know. And I think that there could be a lot of excitement in that type of environment. It's just a lot of math.
Yeah, I definitely agree that having another venue to showcase a different set of skills than what is normally used on a border cross is actually really a good thing.
Yep.
It shows a variety
Yeah.
of skills that an athlete may have or may not have.
Sure.
And it would definitely, I think, change up, you know, the maybe normal person who always wins, or, you know, who's always
Sure.
on the podium.
Sure.
A question along with that, but, you know, kind of sort of with that is like, you know, in Feldberg, one of the main things, well, a lot of people, athletes I heard say, was like there was only one berm. So that favored a certain type of rider. So if you were to build a sprint course, would you put 2 berms in? One,
No, I'd go
one right
straight.
or one
That's-
left, or just straight?
If you had to, maybe that would be a better, you know, something you learn every time, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And venue selection,
Yep.
snow, all these things play into that for sure. But maybe you would want to try to do that. But I often think about that on a lot of courses that have odd berms, you know, and it happens more than you think.
Yeah.
You know, and you end up with 3 or 5, and you're like, huh,
Yeah.
is that favoring one rider or the other?
Right.
And I don't know if the math has ever evened out where it said, you know what, a regular rider wins on odd even this
Right.
way, or a goofy rider wins odd even this way. You know?
Right,
I don't know
right.
if that math has ever really been looked at, and
I don't know.
but I
that.
personally would love to just do straight, dead straight,
That would be interesting.
10 meters wide, 400 yards, 4-degree pitch.
Yeah.
You know, about 10 excavators and 20 shapers, and you just build this thing that would be like a Tetris machine, you know, and you just like, you know, going crazy. So I don't know. I think that's my vision of it, and I hope that that's something maybe we get a crack at it. You
I
know?
hope you get a chance to
It'd be
do
pretty
that
cool, yeah.
vision. You
It'd
know,
be
that
really
would be
cool.
good. We would obviously we don't want. I mean, when I say we, I mean I'm including the athletes. The athletes and the coaches definitely don't want the sport to go to sprint courses because it's easier and cheaper and blah blah blah. But we do. I think we all do agree that we do want to see a new type of course in a sprint course. Whether it has
you get
berms or
something
whether it
at
doesn't,
night. Yeah, you
but
get
it
some
needs to have,
excitement. And you generate that type of buzz. 400-yard course, you're going to get a lot of people in tight. I think
and you
it'd
could
be
get a
good
lot
show.
of people.
Yeah, it'd be a heck of a show. You put one downtown somewhere cool.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
know, Antarctica, top of a mountain. I don't know wherever.
Anyway,
Somebody top of a mountain, you're going to get spectators. But in the end, like if you did it downtown at night, I think it would showcase like these guys are top-notch athletes, guys and girls. You know, like they're riding some cool stuff. They're all really really good.
Yeah.
I say all, but most are incredible.
Yes.
And they're some of the best riders in the world. And like
Yep.
to put them in front of center stage it'd be a show for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean this idea of having it in a city at night, 400 meters, that would be sick. Down the street, you truck in all the snow.
Yeah.
At night,
Yeah.
I mean that would be
incredible.
It would be really good for our sport, and it would promote it in a way that hasn't been promoted before.
Yeah, and I hope we get there. I think it will be something really cool. And you know, if Feldberg turns into a sprint event next year, I know the guys learned a lot in that process, and they're going to get even better, you know. So,
Oh, of course.
so it always improves itself. That was one of my fears of doing the first one. You know,
Right.
that's what you
When
get
you're
to.
the
You know,
first
when you're the
one,
first, you base it off from that.
You're basically,
Yeah.
you're opening yourself up to some
Yeah.
criticism from everyone because
Yeah.
guess what? No one's ever done it,
No one's ever done
and they're all going to have an opinion about it.
Yeah, and in the end, I think it was a cool thing. I think the job was well done, and it's only going to get better from there. You know, so
Yeah.
you know we gotta help support each guy that's doing these things, and they're doing their best. You know, based on their conditions. So
For sure.
I'd like to see it again, though. I think even a series would be something really cool. You know, and
Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head with that, though. If you could do it in a city at night,
Yeah.
trucking the snow,
yeah.
and really, you know, it would be almost like the Red Bull
Crashed
crashed
yeah.
ice in
Yeah.
Montreal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, or Quebec, or
Yeah,
I mean, that would be so sick.
it'd be exciting.
So sick.
It'd be exciting.
But,
So we'll see. You know, we'll see where
we'll
the
see.
future takes us, and
Yep.
and there's definitely some ideas that have been out there on the table, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of guys that want to crack at it. So who knows? It would be
For sure.
it'd be exciting. It'd be something
Sure.
exciting.
All right, my last question for you. Obviously, with climate change, which is a big thing now, we know that,
Yeah.
and the cost to build a border cross, ski cross course, we see a joint effort to use the same tracks for ski cross and border cross,
Yeah.
as we did in Montafon this year.
Yeah.
However, it's pretty tough with the different speeds of skiers and snowboarders.
Yeah.
And then you have male and female snowboarders, which is, different speeds also.
Yeah.
What have you been doing to better bridge that gap as far as design and build? I know you mentioned a lot of math.
Yeah. You know.
Do you use any computer software, or do you use any anything, computer modeling, or?
Not computer modeling as much as we of course data.
Okay.
You know, for the last I'm not sure, a lot of courses.
Okay.
Over the last, Jeff's been doing it for a long time. He has a lot of experience. We're always taking the data that we get on a course.
So you're talking about GPS data?
I'm talking about lengths
Yep.
and grades.
Lengths and
feature
grades, okay.
size,
Yep.
how much space is in between a feature at what pitch,
Okay.
So again, that comes down to the site inspection kind of stuff.
Right.
The things I learned is I am super lucky that I get to see both sides and build World Cups on both sides. There's a different aspect to snowboard cross than there is to ski cross, and then there's a whole bunch of similarities. So you have to find the features that are similar. Skiers aren't riding banks like snowboarders are riding.
No,
so
they never have.
And that's the biggest thing, hands
Never
down.
have.
They're not going to generate speed in a bank like a snowboarder is. But we have been pushing them a little further into different banks and different venues.
I have seen that.
And it's been pretty cool, and I saw some at an event in Canada where, I took a picture because I was so stoked. It was from the gate to the blue line was tracks. I had to work on that bank for a little while, to get it back,
Right.
which was really cool. They're trying to find some new things.
Yes.
And so, in courses that are dual, we got to take our knowledge from both. We got to know that some sacrifices are made for each.
Yeah.
But in making those sacrifices, we're hoping that we're putting them together in a venue that, one, for the organizing committee, the people that are spending this money, are able to have two events. They may not want to be stuck with just one event. Maybe they love having a Montafon. Really enjoyed having two events this year.
Yes.
It was pretty cool. One
Yeah.
weekend ski, one weekend snowboard. Pretty exciting stuff. So I think we're going to see a few more venues next year that are in that realm.
I hope so.
I hope so. It's a really fun challenge. You got to have the right amount of snow, or you're going to get some feature sacrificing for sure, because ski or man are just rockets compared to a 100-pound snowboard lady. They're just not going to be. Those guys are bigger than me. They're 6'4", 250. Like they're just missiles down the mountain.
Yes.
So the things I've learned the most is that there's a lot of similarities and features that are pretty cool for both, but then you gotta take in mind a little bit for them, and for me, and I'll probably get a lot of flack for this, but it's gonna make better riders on both sides, riding different style features. If we're just making one blueprint for one venue and another blueprint for another venue, then they're gonna get pretty similar. But if we're able to throw a little bit of, that's a ski cross thing, or that's a snowboard cross thing, oh, you know what, it's still snow and you're still racing, and if it's cool and it's safe and it creates something that's a little different and dynamic, in the end, there are going to be certain features you're never going to see that go both ways. But for me, it's cool, you know, and I hope that we get more chances at it, and I hope that it develops the sport in a little bit of a different way. I come from a big freestyle background of building, and I like that side of it. I think it's a cool component in both ski and snowboard.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm pushing hard on the ski side to be more jump parky kind of thing, and whether it's working or not, we'll see. And on the snowboard side again, you know, I'm trying to push the limits for those guys. And I could never build the Spain course for ski cross, but you know, there's some cool things there that I've learned in other venues that I brought into this venue. You know, and so it's always a learning experience, and we'll see. You know, we need a lot of snow. It needs to be a big venue, for sure. You know, you got to have that. That's got to it's got to be a good place. It's got to be cold. You got to be a good snowmaking. So, you know, we're trying to pick out better venues, and the final part of that is the bigger, wider. It's just about safety. You know, we can't be throwing needles and threading needles all the time. It's just going to create problems. So we're pushing super hard to go to venues and find venues that will accept us and host us, and we try to find the widest zone we can find. You know, because it just it creates so many better things. You're not forced into certain places, and you're not forced into certain features. You can really play around with that stuff. So I hope we get some more bigger venues, and be pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, for
all
sure.
in all, a good season, I think, and a lot learned, and a lot of discussion, I think, will come out of it that I hope we share at the Builders Clinic and things like that, and grow it from that side. So I think that discussion is healthy.
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, I mean, it's a tough job you have, trying to meld everything together, make everyone happy. I mean, you got a lot of different levels of riders. You got male and female. You got different coaches that want different things, different athletes that have different skills, and some may be good at gliding, some may be good at quick transitions, you know, and each one wants it the way they want it, because they want it to be easy for them.
You know, and in the perfect venue, if you had it all right, you'd have a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
You know, if you could find the right place, it would be amazing.
Yeah.
You know, in some athletes here, crushed people out of the start. I mean, like 10 board lengths out of the start, you know, but then got caught up to in other sections, you know. So we're going to try. You know, we never stop talking about it. You know, I'm always sitting with you on the hill. Hey, what do you think? You know, and I try to open that communication to everyone. What do you think? You know, and sometimes I don't like what I hear. Say that, but I still keep the door open. You know what I mean? And I try to learn something from every conversation, and it'll get better. You know, and I hope that the courses and the venues provide the opportunity for the builders to always get better, you know. So
Well, you're doing a hell of a job.
Thank you.
I really appreciate all you've done, and all the builders that are building on the World Cup as well. And you know, it's a tough job, like I said. A lot of people don't understand exactly how much goes into it. I do, because I do build.
I got to get them all the dice, you know. When
You just tell them that one right there. It's all just dice rolling. But you do a fantastic job, and White Industries has done a great job at the Korean venue, and look forward to seeing more this upcoming season. And as I said before, I really hope that I get to someday see this Nick Roma sprint course vision. That would be pretty sick.
We got the wheels are turning, so you know, I hope we get to do it someday.
All right,
It'd be pretty rad.
High five.
Thanks, buddy.
Boom.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Cheers.
SBXLife with Nick Roma. Peace.
See ya.